Well, hi there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocking Midlife Podcast. And as usual, I say this every week, I'm so excited, but that's because I genuinely am. I get to meet such amazing people. And today I've got Lori Staiz with me all the way from the US. So welcome, Lori.
Thanks so much for having me, Kat. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, this is going to be a fun conversation, even just from the few minutes that we've already been speaking. This is going to be fun. So before I really let Lori off the chain, I'm going to just quickly read a little bit of her bio, and then we're going to dive on in. So Lori Staiz is the CEO of Zen Rabbit, which I've got to say, that is the coolest company name. Really like that. And host of the podcast, Fine, is a 4-letter word. She is an award-winning writer, speaker, and broadcaster. So I'm not feeling nervous here in the least, really. Far out. The experience of leaving a 22-year-old marriage inspired her transformational Being Fine program, which we're going to talk about. And through it, she guides business professionals who are finished living in a dumpster fire to a place of unprecedented clarity, peace, and productivity. Using a collaborative approach, she's teaching the world to be grounded and centered, which leads to improved relationships, increased sales, and overall better health. And I love these little personal things because when she is not working and she's not in her sanctuary, which is her gym, which used to be mine a few years ago, I must say, she also loves cupcakes, which she can eat because she goes to the gym, Thai food, and classic rock music. So, hey, we're bonding there right away. So welcome, Lori. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, you just said it all right there.
Oh, we can finish off now and have a drink. What would you like to add? No, we've got to go straight to it. We've got to go straight to the heart of it. Tell us about this Being Fine program. And you're going to use, people, if you're offended, please maybe get the kids out of the room. But we're going to be using the F word because we're grown-ups here. So, Lori, tell us about that.
Yeah, this isn't a word that I pepper into my conversation all the time. But the reason I called my program Being Fine is because we reach a point in life where we have been going around saying everything is fine when it's really not fine. And you reach a point finally. And I think when we get to this, being in your 40s and 50s, and you are going through all these experiences of parents passing away, kids growing up and moving out of the house, living with a partner that you look at and go, I don't even know if I like you anymore, or being in a career for 20 years that you don't enjoy any longer. You go through the motions and go, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And one day you wake up and you go, no, it's not. It's not fine at all. I want more.
Yes.
Being fine. I deserve more.
Oh,
and
totally
that is why the program is called that.
I love it. I love it. And totally hear you. That's what I'm hearing from midlife women in particular around the world too, although this applies for men as well. It's so true, isn't it? It's like that switch goes off where it's like, is this all there is for the rest of my life, for the next 20, 30, 40 years I've got ahead of me? Is this it?
Yeah.
So how did you experience that light bulb moment in your own life?
I had closed my first business. I was in the process of closing my first business that I had run for 11 years, couldn't scale it quite the way I wanted to, and decided to shut it down. And at the same time, my mom was diagnosed with an acute form of leukemia, and she passed away 6 weeks later.
Oh, gosh.
And she was only 73. I say only 73 because now that I'm getting closer, I'm not quite there. But you go, well, that's not that old.
It's not
that old
actually these days. No.
And so as I was going through my mourning for my mom and for my business, because my whole identity had been wrapped up in that business. And that's a whole other conversation of when you are running a business and you decide to shut it down or even sell it, whatever you're doing, you start going, okay, well, now who am I? Because I'm not, this isn't anymore. And that was who I am. Now who am I?
Yeah.
So going through both of those experiences at the same time really made me question, do I want to live the next 20 years the same way I've lived the last 20? And I say that not because the last 20 were so terrible. They weren't.
Yeah.
Just what do I want now? Do I want something different?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's hard. Like, they're two major life things that just bang in one hit like that. And 6 weeks to get your head around your mother's diagnosis to her gone. I can only imagine the pain and the shock and everything that went with that. I'm so sorry you went through that. But I love that even that bleak moment, those bleak moments that you had, though, out of it, you've birthed something good, and not just
Yeah.
for yourself, but something good for other people too. So tell me a little bit more how you went from that to doing
Yeah.
this.
Well, so it's interesting because so the additional part of that is that then 2 or 3 years after that. So that was 8 years ago
Yeah,
from now.
not that long.
Then
Yeah,
not well, but still not yesterday.
yeah,
I started again reevaluating my marriage because I had been in it. We had been married for almost 22 years when I left, and
yeah.
together for almost 30.
Wow.
So pretty much all of my adult life. Now, how do you walk away from something like that? You're going through the motions. Like for 10 years, probably we were both like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
We're trying to make it better, but we don't really know what to do, but it's okay. I mean, it's nothing. There's nobody is,
yeah.
abusing anybody. Like it's
It's
fine.
just fine.
Like maybe this is how it's supposed to be. I don't know. But that was another point where I was like, all right, well, maybe fine is not where I want to be. And still it took a couple more years because he was very supportive throughout that whole process of the mourning.
Yeah.
And then his mom passed away.
Oh,
And so
gosh.
then, a couple years later. And so, but finally I got to this point where I was like, all right, no, fuck being fine. I got to go now. It's not fair to either one of us to stay in this relationship that isn't serving. And we both knew it wasn't, but he would never have made he would never have initiated. Yeah. So I had to do it. And yeah, I mean, that was the hardest thing. That was actually harder than my mom's passing.
Wow.
Because, mom's passing, anybody's passing it's part of life.
Yeah.
Like you don't have control over that. That's the thing. You don't have control. Deciding to leave a marriage after almost 25 years.
Yeah.
I have control of that.
That's huge. And that's a whole other identity thing right there too. That's
right,
massive.
Right.
Yeah.
And the guilt that went with that of, I know we're both going to be better off, but I still felt so much guilt.
Yeah. So how did you move through these like 3 major life stresses, defining moments? How did you move through that to create Zen Rabbit and to create something that encourages other women and other midlifers to live their best life? How did you go from bleak to that?
One of the key tools was meditation,
Right.
which is why this is what I'm now teaching to my clients. So my mom had taken my brother and me to a meditation course when I was 10. My brother was 8. I was 10. Yeah. And so I was introduced to this as a foundation at a very young age, but I didn't practice it for 35 years. Like I jokingly say, I would get back. I knew the benefits, but I just didn't practice it.
Yeah.
So I would start doing meditation for a couple days, maybe a week. And then I'd skip a few years, like people joke around about, I went to the gym and then I missed a few years.
Yeah.
But that's how I was with meditation. Even when I started that first business, I was looking around at what do successful business people do? Is there something they all have in common?
Yeah.
And one of the things is a lot of them practice meditation and attribute their business's success, their success in life, to their meditation practice.
Yeah.
And I still didn't do it. In fact, I joke around to say too, I had one of my best friends was going through a divorce about 10 years before me. And she was, any of your listeners who have gone through a divorce, it tears your whole world apart. And so I suggested to her that she should practice meditation.
Yeah. I should
learn how to meditate.
I'm going to interject and do a little advertisement for a minute, because last week's guest was actually a divorce recovery coach. So if anyone is listening and going, oh, I need to look into this more, I need to get healed and recover, and what do I do? Check out last week's episode. And she's a lady over your way as well, Martha Bodyfelt. So it's probably someone you should connect up with too, just to have on your little Rolodex for your clients. But go back to meditation.
Absolutely.
It's interesting because I'm a Christian, but meditation for me is wrapped up in prayer. It's the same thing. It's essential for day-to-day life. So tell me more.
Exactly. So when after my mom passed, I kind of came back to it consistently. And it was interesting because somebody pointed this out to me. I didn't see the connection right away, but she said, oh, so your mom prepared you for when she wasn't going to be here anymore. And I just burst into tears.
Wow.
I was like, yes, that is correct. But I didn't see it that way.
That's profound.
Yeah. So I did get back into doing meditation consistently. And this time it stuck.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where if I do it in the morning when I wake up before I get into my day. And I recommend that people find a time that works for them. Like, it's not going to work for everybody first thing in the morning, maybe before you fall asleep, or maybe in the middle of the day when everything's going all crazy and you just need to calm and ground. But for me, I do it in the morning. And now it's to the point where if I don't do my meditation, it's like leaving the house without brushing your teeth.
Wow.
It feels weird. It feels like uncomfortable.
You're not ready for the day yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Now, when we were talking earlier, you were telling me how gratitude is one of the key words involved with this meditation. And my comment, for those listening in, my comment to Lori earlier was, that's kind of something I think would be good to touch on at the moment, because there's so much horrible stuff happening in our world that it becomes so overwhelming. I don't know about you, but the news is just awful and it's depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get that survivor's guilt a little bit too, that at least, well, okay, I've still got a roof over my head while looking at the awful images of what other people are going through. And it can feel wrong to be grateful for what we do have. Yet gratitude is something that's critical, isn't it? That's what's going to release us to be able to make that difference to other people. So could you tell us more about gratitude and your practice of it and what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. When you are practicing gratitude, you are raising your vibration. So we are all energetic beings and we are all made of energy. And so when you can raise your vibration, people you have all of these phrases about, putting out good energy and raising your vibration and your frequency and feeling good. Practicing gratitude makes you feel good because it's raising your energetic vibration. When you are coming from a place of gratitude, when you're coming from a place of love, when you're coming from a place of joy, you feel better.
Yeah. So
when you are practicing gratitude, let's say you're in a situation where maybe things don't look so good. Like, it doesn't look like you have something to be grateful for.
Yeah. A lot of people are probably feeling that at the moment. So please share your gold with us.
Can you find any shred of gratitude for that situation? A lot of times people are like, well, when you look back on this in a year from now, you'll laugh or you'll find the gratitude. Well, let's not wait a year. Let's look right now and find it, because you are, and there's so much science and research behind this. So I want to point that out, because a lot of people think, oh, this is just like some woo-woo thing. Like, you're just gonna make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Well, you're actually strengthening the neural pathways your brain.
Yes.
You are releasing those feel-good chemicals of dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin.
Yeah.
You are lowering the stress hormone of cortisol. You are increasing the effectiveness of your immune system.
Yeah,
So
that's a powerful
all of
one.
these,
Yeah.
yeah. And it reduces physical pain. It actually can improve your sleep quality. So
That's huge
which
for
is another
midlife
key
women.
thing.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, that's
Yeah.
another key. I know. I'm like, I'm hot. Now I'm not hot. I'm hot. Now I'm not
The
hot.
foot out the bed, the duvet up to the top, but the foot out. Yeah.
There you go. So yes, if we can improve our sleep quality with just by being grateful, which costs nothing, I'll take it.
That's
so
huge,
yeah,
isn't
it's a practice, you know? So give me an example. Is there something that's happened in your life in the past week, Kat, that maybe you're like, I don't see any gratitude here?
There's my ongoing pain. I've often talked about the fact that I live with chronic pelvic pain, and sometimes it's okay. Other times I have massive flare-ups. So this morning was one. I got up at 5:30 this morning and started my day with codeine because it was just crippling. So that's an ongoing one that I don't want to ultimately live with, but the reality is I do live with. So how do I best live with that and keep doing what I do?
Right.
Over to you, Master.
how do you find gratitude for that? And I would recommend that, you know, in a way, you kind of gave some clues to where you find gratitude for it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's not every day. I'm grateful that it's not every day. I'm grateful that I can still host this podcast. I'm grateful I can still go to brunch with my friends, or I can still do whatever it is. You know, I'm grateful that, you know, that my entire body doesn't hurt. You know, there's way
that's everything. You're right. And you've hit some that I've written about before. Well, one thing is I'm so grateful that thankfully, you know, I have a solid marriage and I have a husband who's allowed me to be able to work from home in a recliner and right, even though that has taken a hit on our finances initially starting that whole new career. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm in a warm house where I can put the blanket on and lay back and write and speak to people. And I'm grateful for the internet, or I would be an absolute hermit. So you're right. It's amazing what you can find when you stop and take the pity glasses off, isn't it?
Exactly. And the other thing that people say to me a lot is, well, I'm not naturally a grateful person. I wasn't born grateful. I actually think people are born grateful. Babies are, I think, naturally grateful, but it gets societized out of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, because we are kind of this world that looks for the negative and complains and criticizes all the time.
Yeah.
And I will recommend that you will find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for things to be critical of, you will find them. If you are looking for things to be grateful for, you will find them too.
Yeah, I fully hear you on that. My question though, what's the actual practical steps about starting this? Like, do you suggest someone sits and, I don't know, gazes on their navel for 5 minutes, you know, or gets out the gratitude journal and does the same thing every day 20 times? I'm grateful. You know, what are some practical tips for people who want to know how to start this and have heard all the same old?
I'm so glad you asked that question. Because I don't actually do a gratitude journal. I share and talk about and teach gratitude all the time, and I don't do one. Right. If it becomes something that is just another thing on your to-do list to do, don't do it.
Yes, because I've tried them in the past.
Add more chores. Yeah.
It was exactly that. It was like, oh, shoot, it's 8 a.m. I've got to do this, but I haven't done my gratitude journal yet. It became another thing to tick off. So what do you suggest to people?
There's this exercise called But I'm Grateful For.
Okay.
So when you are complaining or criticizing, because we're human, we're going to do it. When you catch yourself complaining or criticizing, add on to whatever it is you're thinking or saying, but I'm grateful for. So it's so cold today. I hate this weather, but I'm grateful I have this warm blanket to sleep under.
That's cool.
So it's something you can implement right away. And the more you do it, the more you catch yourself and the more you say, but I'm grateful for, the easier it's going to become to find things to be grateful for, to naturally just see them.
That's great. Do you suggest people like stick that phrase up and pop it around the house as a reminder?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. If that's what you need to do it.
Yeah.
Do it. And there's a specific reason why we're using but I'm grateful for, because you may have heard that it's not so great to use the phrase but, because it cancels out what you've just said. Like, Kat, that was an amazing job you did on throwing that party. But
and that's all you hear, isn't it?
It would have been nice if you had, and then all you hear is that you didn't even hear that you did a great job.
Yeah.
That part's negated.
Yeah.
So in this case, that's exactly why we are using the word but. You want to negate that criticism or complaint.
Yes.
And focus on I'm grateful for.
That's very clever. Very, very clever. So in your bio, you talk about, you actually do this with business people. So it's not like you said, it's not a little woo-woo thing for women to sit around somewhere out, a little retreat gazing at their navels, like we said. This is actually something practical that you encourage business people to apply. So what are the results that you see from people who do this meditation, this gratitude?
Yeah. Well, the immediate benefit is you feel better. You feel good. Whether you're looking for the gratitude or you're doing a quick meditation, and the benefits are a little bit different. But for example, when you take 2 minutes, even 60 seconds to stop and breathe and focus on your breathing, focus on feeling the air coming into your lungs all the way down to your abdomen, breathing deeply, because we don't know how to breathe. We know how to breathe enough to stay alive, but
it's all shallow,
really
isn't
know
it?
How to breathe.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so when you can fill your lungs and focus for 60 seconds on your breathing and time yourself, because 60 seconds is going to feel long at the beginning, but just that, after those 60 seconds are over, you are going to immediately feel better. So that feeling better, if nothing else, I mean, that alone, who doesn't want to feel better?
Yeah.
Right. But then the more you practice this, your focus increases, your emotional intelligence increases.
Yeah.
You are less likely, the more you practice meditation, the less likely you are to be drawn into conflict. We live in a world of conflict right now.
Don't we ever?
And So if you can not get drawn into the conflict and respond instead of reacting, you have more control. You have more control of the situation. You have more control of yourself. Now, that's not to say that you're never going to feel emotions.
Yeah.
That you won't feel angry. You won't feel frustrated, disappointed, resentful. Yes, you're still going to feel those because you're human.
Yeah.
You are going to be able to manage them better and move through them, because that's the thing, is it's about moving through them, still feeling them, but not hanging out there for days.
Yeah. So you found that practicing all of this helped you move through those big life moments that you were saying you had. And so how do people physically start? So we do that, but do you suggest that they go away and sit and just eyes shut for 5 minutes, or do they just do that while they're going about their normal duties? What are kind of some easy beginner steps for somebody who wants to start making this, an intentional part of their day?
Yeah. So the but I'm grateful for exercise is something that you just do throughout the day as you catch yourself. The meditation, as I mentioned, like, you need to find the time that works for you. So play around with, maybe it's when you first wake up in the morning before you get out of bed. Nod off again, hey? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so maybe you want to sit up, but not get out of bed.
Right.
And people have this misconception around meditation that you have to do it for an hour and you have to sit cross-legged on a mat and that you have to repeat some mantra over and over and clear all the thoughts out of your head and, maybe wear some hippie beads or something.
Yeah, I just failed on all of those.
Right. No, you don't have to do any of that. There are no rules around meditation, except that recognize that what you're doing is you are tapping into a quiet space. So first of all, thoughts are not going to leave your head. That's part of the practice, is to see that there are thoughts happening, as if you were watching cars driving past.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's a red car. There's a blue car. And
see,
that's already
an aha moment for me, because I'm someone whose brain never shuts off. So the thought of meditation as a practice, I just think it drives me mental, because I just think, my brain won't stop.
Yeah. So if you can just sit there for 5 minutes and pay attention to the thoughts, like not attached to them, not let them carry you away, just notice them. And as soon as you notice that you're paying attention to your thoughts, you come back to your breathing. Oh, okay, wait, let me come back. I'm focusing on breathing, breath coming in, breath going out. That's all. Personally, in the beginning, didn't like to do just silent meditation. I needed a guided meditation. So guided is not cheating. Guided meditation, there are plenty of guided meditations where what that means is that you're listening to a meditation teacher take you through, think about this, focus on that, do this thing. I create meditations all the time. With my podcast, it's not every episode. I've gotten away from doing them recently, but there are more than 50 meditations, 10-minute meditations on my podcast app, or on my podcast. And then there's an app that I use that none of my meditations are on yet, because I haven't gotten around to submitting them, but it's called Insight Timer.
Right.
And it's free. Insight Timer, download it.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of meditations. You mentioned that you practice Christianity. There are meditations specifically that if you're a Christian and you want to listen to a Christian meditation, it's in there.
Fantastic.
You want a meditation to fall asleep, it's in there. You want a meditation for 5 minutes or 75 minutes. You can sort on all of these things.
Wow.
And I want to come back and address that you said about prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer is a form of meditation. I don't think of it necessarily that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, well, I can't meditate because it's against my religion. Every single religion has a form of meditation built into it. They just don't call it that.
They do. I mean, the Bible talks about meditating on the word. So it may be the way you focus, how you do it. And that's why I want to say up front really clearly that I am a Christian, so that, if there are faith-based people listening to this, actually, you can meditate. You can do it exactly like you said, within a Christian framework. So you're not crossing any of your values, but you're still able to use this practice, which, like you said, is scientifically proven, which does affect your neural pathway. I talk about it in one of my books where I talk more about visualization, but that's kind of wrapped up in it. And the science behind it is there. So it's good for people to know that actually it doesn't have to cross values. You can practice this the same way you practice swimming or running as a Christian or as a non-Christian. You can practice meditation as a tool within the boundaries of your faith and values as well.
Yeah. I find it's a way to bring you closer to your higher power, regardless of what you call that. What you're doing is you're getting quiet and tapping into hearing your own inner voice, that truth that lies inside of you that no one else can hear. So we all have what is true for you. We live in a society that is constantly trying to get our attention over here or over there, or over here. Listen to me. I have the answer. Over here, come over here. And you're so overwhelmed with distractions. You don't hear your own truth. And this is why people get stuck. Like, oh, I can't make a decision. What should I do? Because get quiet. You'll get the answer.
Yeah, that's so true. Again, that was in the beginning of one of my books. I've forgotten the actual number. The number that we're bombarded with millions of bits of information all day long through all of our senses. And it's only when you what's the word? Intentionally step back.
Yes.
And listen and let your thoughts come through, or, your prayer or whatever it is. But, it it's a practice that's really, really helpful just to cope with everyday life, isn't it? Because our grandparents were never subjected to the volume of stimuli and input that we get today. And it's no wonder that we're just stressy.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, I heard somewhere, and I have to look it up again, that our grandparents didn't take in as much information in their entire lives as we take in a day.
That's right. That's right. Isn't it funny? We both went to the same analogy there. It's true, though. It's absolutely true. And you wonder why there's so much stress and overwhelm, and even, I would dare say, verging into mental illness, because it's just relentless, this particular society we're in, with all the notifications and everything.
This is why we have to intentionally, as you said, take back our attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what you're paying attention to.
Oh, that's good. There's a slogan right there. That's good.
And intentionally focus on what works for you. What do you want to focus on?
Yeah.
Rewire your brain, because social media, traditional media, society is trying to rewire your brain to serve them. And you need to take back control and rewire it to serve you. Wayne Dyer has a quote that prayer is us talking to God, and intuition is God talking to us.
Yes. That still small voice, which, as Christians, we would say that's the voice of the Holy Spirit. But yes, absolutely. And you can't hear that unless you're still. I mean, the Bible says, be still and know that I'm God. You can't hear God. You can't hear your own thoughts in the middle of what life is like now without intentionally stopping and pausing.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So cool. So really, you hear the buzzword self-care. I'm sure you've heard it all the time. People talk about it all the time, self-care. But to be really corny, this kind of is self-care, isn't it?
This is self-care. This is real self-care.
Yeah, this is the self-care.
So self-care has gotten to mean, oh, I got a massage.
Yes.
I had a pedicure, a manicure. I
had a bath with a glass of wine. That's the usual image, isn't it?
Right. Okay. That's marginal self-care.
Yeah.
But this is really self-care.
Yeah.
You're caring for your mind, your body, your psyche.
Yeah.
Ongoing. It's not a one-time thing where you get a massage and you are completely stressed out again as soon as you get back in the car.
Yeah. And do the traffic drive home. Yeah.
Right. This is the effects, as we've already talked about, are immediate and cumulative.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like mic drop we could have done a few times already. I'm sold. I'm getting my act back together, starting again. Just so much gold, so many good points. And I really believe that it's something that could be really life-changing for people to put it in place. And obviously you have seen that with the people you've worked with. So tell us really quickly, how can people get in touch with you, Lori?
Yeah, my website is zenrabbit.com.
Yep.
That's really the easiest place. You can find me there. You can find the links to my social media there.
Okay.
But if you just go to zenrabbit.com, you'll
find everything.
Find it all.
And the name of your podcast again, too. We are going to put all the links in the notes, but the name of your podcast again?
Is FINE is a 4-letter word.
Oh, I love that.
And you can find links to that at the website as well.
Fantastic. So it boils down to the fact of if life is just fine, then that's not enough. And here's a key to help you get more, live more, become, do, create the thing that you want to do for your next 20, 30 years. I absolutely love it. Have you one last piece of advice or wisdom or insight that you would like to leave with everyone, Lori?
Our souls are longing for more. This is why fine is not okay. A lot of the people that I talk to, a lot of my clients come and they say, oh, I have all of this. Look at all of what I have. I have this beautiful family, this job that pays me a lot of money, or a company I created that pays a lot, and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So there must be something wrong with me. So what I want to leave listeners with is there is nothing wrong with you, and you are not alone. This is your soul crying out for more growth, for more development. It's not to do more. It's not asking you to do more things, but to get quiet and hear what more can you be.
I want to just thank you so much, Lori. I know that today's episode is going to inspire so many people. So thank you again for being part of the Rocking Midlife Podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's been cool. So good. So everybody, please, I encourage you, go to zenrabbit.com, grab hold of all of Lori's resources, get onto her podcast, and be encouraged to just start asking yourself, how can I fit this into my life? Where can I make it work? And remembering that but line. I really like that. Life might suck, but, and I'm grateful for. Love it. Okay, everybody, you have a fabulous day, and we will see you on the next episode of the Rocking Midlife Podcast.